All right, welcome to our podcast, the H&W Show. We're going to be going over Week 14. I'm here with Carson Woodward. Carson, how you doing?
You know what? I'm doing really good today. How about yourself?
Better. I'm sure you're doing a little bit better than me. Cowboys got the win, so
They did.
my Steelers are. Let's just say they're struggling.
We'll get into it. We'll get into it all today. All righty. I'll take it over from you, Dylan. And so the first game of the week, the Thursday game, we had the Patriots who went on the road against the Rams who are red hot right now. And, the Patriots, their offense could not get rolling whatsoever, put up only 3 points.
Yeah,
The
they
lowest Bill
were
Belichick has scored all year. Pitiful. What do you think about that, Dylan?
pitiful. Cam Newton. I think it's funny because they're technically still on it, but they're just. I would say the dynasty of the Patriots it is slowly dying, and I think the Patriots are going to move away from Cam Newton. I don't really think it's all on him. I don't, but I just don't think he's their guy. Even though it's not even the age for me, because I think he'll play for quite some time. Maybe 6 or 5 more years. That's enough. But I think they need to go draft a quarterback. They might sign another quarterback 1 more year. I don't think Bill Belichick's the guy to throw in a rookie quarterback. I don't think he's that kind of coach. I feel like he's more of a coach that's gonna kind of like an Andy Reid, like, hey, we're gonna let Patrick Mahomes learn. I feel like Bill Belichick will do that. I do think they're gonna go out and draft a quarterback. And just wide receiver wise, they just don't have the weapons. They just don't have the weapons. So that's how I feel about the Patriots. I don't know yet. But.
I absolutely agree, except which is shocking because the week before they played the Chargers. I know the Chargers have struggled this year, but they blew them out 45-0. But that's a whole different story. The Rams, also notable, rookie Cam Akers, the running back for the Rams, had his career high, over 170 yards. Really just carried their offense in that one. All right, moving on to the next game.
No.
We had the Titans, who played one of the worst teams in the league, the Jacksonville Jaguars, who only have one win. They won 31-10. And if you watch the game, which I don't know why you would, Derrick Henry he takes over in almost
Derrick
every
Henry's a
game
man
they
playing
play.
amongst boys.
He really is.
He's a man amongst boys. Puts up what 221? Is that was the official? What was it?
He had
221 yards.
215 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns.
215. Good night, Irene.
And he does that
come
all
on.
the time.
I don't think
people aren't even talking about
he
it.
is. He is going to be. He's going to be on fire. It's going to be tough stopping. He's going to start rolling. That's for sure.
And Ryan Tannehill, he's had a good year
He's just going to keep
himself.
going.
And they're hitting up targets like A.J. Brown and Corey Davis. They're going to be a tough team to beat in the playoffs. All right, moving on to the next game, Dylan. You want to talk about the Vikings, who played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Tampa Tom.
Yeah. Old GOAT Tom Brady. Kirk Cousins. Tom Brady Tom Brady's never lost to the guy. First off, never lost to the guy. And he really started slow, but he really the Buccaneers offense has slowly picked it up. But their running game is Aaron Jones. They just need to he has over 20 carries. I'm pretty sure they're undefeated this year. I don't know. I haven't checked that stat officially yet, but they kind of got away from giving him the ball, and he's 4th in the league. I think he's higher now, but before that game, he was 4th in the league in rushing, and they were only giving him the ball the past 2 weeks before the Vikings game, I think 15 times. So, this bye week was huge for them. They got back to what they were good at, running the football, not going deep every freaking play. And I just think they need to rely on the run game, and clearly it shows right there that if you rely on the run game, you're going to be all right.
That is correct. But Tampa Tom, he had quite a game. 50-yard bomb to Scotty Miller. Such a nice throw. Yep. I think wasn't that Scotty Miller's first touchdown? It might have been.
It might have been. Number
All right,
10.
we'll move on here to a very good AFC matchup. We had the Chiefs who went on the road where they won the Super Bowl last year in Miami. They played the Dolphins. Didn't start off so hot. Mahomes threw 2 picks in the first quarter, and they were losing 10-0. Slowly, they picked it up as the game went along. They pulled off to a 28-10 lead, and then the Dolphins kind of rallied at the end, but they couldn't quite stop them.
Yeah.
Mahomes did throw 3 interceptions, which is a career high, if I am not mistaken. He only had 2 picks.
And now that right there brings Aaron Rodgers into the talk of the MVP race now.
It really does.
3 interceptions because his
really
QBRs, he's number 1 now.
All right. Next, we had the Broncos who went on the road at Carolina, and they got the dub 32-27. They couldn't put Carolina away. Every time they scored, Carolina trotted down the field, scored even without their best player, DJ Moore on the offensive side, and no Christian McCaffrey still.
Yeah, that defense is nowhere near what it used to be. I mean,
it's no 2015 dominant defense anymore.
No.
And next, we had the Texans who went on the road at Chicago. They played the Bears, where they just got blown out, 7-37.
Oh my God,
36, excuse me.
And the Bears are still in it. Who would have thought? The Bears are still in the hunt.
They are, and
behind.
I think that the Bears have one of the most underrated defenses in the NFL. They get turnovers when they need to. They can get after the quarterback, and I think they really shook Deshaun Watson's confidence a little bit.
I agree. I think this game right here was a huge game for them. It's going to build their confidence, and they're only a few games out. So, I mean they're still on it. I mean the Cardinals have that spot right now, but the Vikings and Bears are still on it.
Speaking of the Cardinals, our next game we had the Cardinals on the road at a red-hot New York Giants who just came off a win in Seattle. In Seattle, they beat them, I think 18-5, which is a weird score, but they beat them 26-7, and it was really just a blowout. They couldn't guard DeAndre Hopkins. They couldn't stop Kenyon Drake.
And then the other thing you can say is Daniel Jones needs to get healthy. They're trying to make him a playoff run. No sense of rushing him back. I know you kind of need to win. I know, but I mean, if you're, what's the point of rushing him back if you ain't going to play in the play? You know what I'm saying? So they need to they need to let him heal. So
Agreed.
I think once he's going to be back to normal, they're going to be back. They'll be ready to rock and roll. The NFC it's wide open. I know the Redskins may be 2 games up over the Cowboys and Eagles, but I mean it's wide open.
Speaking of my Dallas Cowboys, Andy Dalton back at his former home. They played the Bengals on the road. What a game. They beat them 30-7.
Oh, yeah. He just stomped them.
I mean, the Bengals did fumble 3 times within the first 16 minutes. That's notable on their first 3 possessions, which has not happened since actually New England did it in 2013. So, rare stat there.
Pitiful.
Bengals, their offense has no juice. Dallas is not a good team whatsoever, but the Bengals are somehow worse. So, yeah, I mean,
I agree.
It's hard to be excited as a Cowboys fan because we won the game, and yet we're still in last place, and we're up and down every week. It's just hard to be excited about them right now.
It's almost like whenever you guys get a nice, notable win, everybody else wins too, so it's hard to be happy.
Exactly. All right, we'll move on because that was one of the worst games of the week. Colts on the road at the Raiders. The Raiders have been such an up and down team. They beat the Chiefs earlier in the year, and then they almost lose to the Jets. They should have lost to the Jets. You want to talk about that?
Well, yeah, I thought the Raiders were going to get the job done. To be honest with you, they're at home. I thought John Gruden was going to get the job done. I thought the close. I mean, let's be honest, they should have lost. I think that win against the Jets was a humbling experience for them, and I thought they were going to come off. And I thought they were just going to show everybody, like, hey, we're legit. That was just a fluke. But, no, I think the Colts showed that they're legit. Phillip Rivers, somehow. We know how he is in the playoffs. But, maybe the Colts have shown and the Bills have both shown this week that they are legit. The Raiders have shown that they are not legit. And I think I think the Raiders need to get away from Derek Carr. That's my opinion. I don't think he is. I just don't think he's their guy anymore. I think they just need to move away from him.
All right. Yeah. All right. Next game we had the Jets, who went on the road in Seattle. I'm not even going to talk about this game very much because the Seahawks won 40-3.
40-3, yeah. That's all we need to say. 40-3.
There's nothing much else there. The Seahawks had all their backs in the fourth quarter. Anyways, moving on. The Packers went on the road and played the Lions, where it was actually a close game near the end.
Good game.
I don't know if you saw that onside kick that the Lions kicked when they were down 7. I did. And the ball just barely went out of bounds. Barely.
I know.
But that seems to be how the Lions...
Two close onsides.
Yeah, that seems how... Yeah, I was just going to mention that. That seems how to be... the Lions, they lose so many heartbreaking games. They're not really getting blown out or just beat.
They're right there.
Barely there.
They are right there.
And Aaron Rodgers played about as good as you could have. He had 290 passing yards and 4 touchdowns, 3 of them were passing, 1 rushing. And they won on the road 31-24. Next up, we had 2 teams that they try so hard. Like, they could be both of them could be much better than they are. But they just lose all these close games. We had the Falcons on the road against the Chargers. In which the Chargers won 20-17 with a last-second field goal. You want to talk about that?
I mean, first, you can't help but feel bad for the Falcons. I mean, I know that you can say they've choked it, and that's their own fault. But, I mean, those first, 4 or 5 games, they literally lost them. So, I mean, they are there. There's a lot of teams. The Lions, I think, focus on the offseason, find, new head coach, or, maybe stay with the interim. Who knows? Both of them, really. I just think they need to focus on the offseason, but they're there. They're right there. I mean, they're not getting blown out. They're not the Jets, for God's sake. But, yeah, the Falcons are a good team. I mean, they're a good team. So
they just need to keep Julio healthy.
I mean, Justin Herbert, that they found their franchise guy. I mean, you can't – and also, I mean, Tyrod Taylor. I mean, what a break he's had. The Ravens, and then the Bills, and then the Browns, and now the Chargers. He's getting replaced by all these franchise quarterbacks. Maybe not the Ravens, but, the Bills and the Browns, but you just feel bad for the guy. So,
All right, we'll move on to the Washington football team on the road against the 49ers. Dylan, you're going to talk about that game?
Well, okay, Washington is legit. Their defense is legit. Two touchdown turnovers. I mean, come on. I mean, their D-line is playing some of the best football in the league right now.
Chase Young, baby.
Chase Young. I mean, come on. I mean, they're playing great football. I don't know what to say. They're better than the record. They have totally done a 360. I mean, 5 in a row, isn't it? 5 in a row.
Yep. I think 4 actually.
And, I mean, they're 4 or 5. I mean, they are winning games. They're playing electric defense. They're a good team, and I think a big part of it is Alex Smith. He's being smart. You can call him a game manager, call him what you want, but he's managing the game. He's playing a safe game. They're doing everything they want him to do.
Exactly.
The defense making stops. Our offense, be safe with the ball. We're gonna be safe with it. If we get a field goal, we get a field goal. Who cares? I mean, what they are doing in Washington is, record aside, who cares? They are playing some of the best football, and they are going. If they end up making the playoffs, I know, and they don't even have a real name. And if they end up making the playoffs in the NFC, if they end up winning the NFC East, teams better take them serious, because if they don't, they're going to be surprised very quick. I'm telling you.
Exactly. They beat the undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Right. Oh, yeah. Thanks for reminding me of that one.
The next game we got, which was my game of the week, win of the week, was the Saints, who went on the road against rookie quarterback Jalen Hurts. The Eagles snuck out a 24-21 win against the Saints, who had been rolling. We'd won, 9 straight, I think?
Jalen Hurts, baby.
Man.
Yeah, 9 straight.
Carson Wentz, I'm afraid your time in Philadelphia might just be over. Jalen Hurts, you could tell that there's a lot more energy when they had Hurts on the field.
And the thing is with me, Doug Peterson, he got asked about it, who is he going to start the game, and he was still questioning it. Jalen Hurts is your guy. I mean, I think honestly, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not so sold on him quite yet. Because how is he going to perform? Who do they play this week? Do you know? I honestly don't know off the top of my head.
No, I cannot remember off the top of my head.
Okay, well, how good is he going to play when a defense can study his film? Nobody had film on him. No, besides in college, obviously, but no.
They played the Cardinals this week,
but,
by the way.
So, the Cardinals are going to look at his tape, and then if he can go in there and pull off a win against the Cardinals, a big win, if they lose, they're in trouble. So, I think if he can go in there and win, I would say he's might be their guy. You can't really stay off one game. I know that was a great Saints defense. I mean, they were playing some great ball, but they didn't have film on him. It's hard to study. But I do agree. Carson Wentz's time is done. He has proved time and time again that he's done there. Doug Peterson needs to admit it. I know that the Eagles will be. It's going to cost them if whatever they're going to do. It's they're but I mean, Carson Wentz proved time and time again that he's not their guy. I mean, they should have stayed with Nick Foles, and that's a fact. Carson Wentz didn't win the Super Bowl. We got to remember that. Carson Wentz did not win that Super Bowl. Nick Foles did.
Yeah,
MVP
Brady would have
game.
7 rings right now if it weren't for Nick Foles. Just want to say that.
And not only that, then next year he gets hurt, and Nick Foles should have beat the Saints that year, but then Alshon Jeffrey decided, hey, I'm going to drop this ball through my hands, and it gets picked off. Yeah. And all of a sudden it again, and then they still don't move. They still didn't stay with Nick Foles. So, I mean, it's. I think that I understand that there's a money side of part of Carson Wentz. His time in there is done. And I think Doug Peterson just needs to say that and admit it because, I mean, look what's happened. Jalen Hurts has saved his job in Philadelphia. I believe that.
Agreed. Before we move on, let's talk a little bit about where Carson Wentz, where he could be next year. What would be a good fit for him?
I wouldn't want to see him in New England. I think Bill Belichick would be scary with him. I don't know, though. I really don't know. I always have a tough time with this because I thought Tom was going to go to the Chargers. I was convinced on it, and then he goes and signs it. I don't know. I don't know. There's a few landing spots that he could potentially go. It just depends what teams are going to do with their quarterback. Are the Patriots going to stay with Cam Newton? Are they going to go away from him? I don't know. So I'll hear. What do you think?
I was going to say, I think, and I know it's a mess right there with their quarterbacks, but the Chicago Bears, year in and year out, they've had inconsistent problems with their QBs. And this year's really no different. They've been flipping back and forth between Foles and Trubisky, who have each had an up and down year. So I don't know. If they part ways with one or both of those guys, I think Wentz could potentially go in there. I think it'll all depend on what happens in the draft.
What a potential trade. What if they do a trade, Nick Foles for Carson Wentz? Could you imagine that one?
I think that's the only way Wentz is getting out of Philadelphia before his contract is up because if they cut him right now.
They'll trade him. Yeah.
His contract
$35 million, right?
Yes. So they're not – the Eagles do not want to cut Wentz right now. I think a trade is their only way out. And their trade value for Wentz cannot be very high. He is struggling.
No, they won't get much out of him. I mean, but
we'll see. All
right, next,
I'm gonna let you talk about this game since your Steelers played on the road at the Bills.
Ugh.
Talk a little bit about it.
All right. Well, the Steelers, I guess no run game. I mean, they need Andy Fickner. All right, needs to. 2018, he was the offensive coordinator. I believe that was his first year being the offensive coordinator. James Conner, that was the year Le'Veon decided to hold out. James Conner was basically the starting running back. I mean, he was, even though Le'Veon was testing the ball. He didn't have 1,000 yards season, but he had 950. They need to go back. Andy Fickner needs to go back. I mean, because you have the same line. You have 3 of the best. I mean, not all 5, but 3 of your main ones. And that's all Villanueva, DeCastro, and Pouncey. All 3 good guys. I know they're getting older, but same with 3 guys. He needs to go back and figure out how are we running the ball so well now there. We can't run the ball so well now. One thing I think it is, I think if you look at the percentage, I don't know it, but I'm sure there's something there. They are not running. In 2018, they would always have some type of a puller, lead blocker, fullback, leading in front of Connor. And this year, he's just putting him in gun and saying, all right, here we go. Hey, let's hand the ball. I mean, that's just not going to work. And it's shown time and time again. And also, you could say, well, maybe it's the running back. It's not the running backs because all of them are having the same problem. They bring Jalen Samuels in. They brought Benny Snell's in. Jalen Samuels had a little bit of a spark there, but, I mean, he was only getting – he would get – the most he had was about, 5 at one point, and then it just – line of scrimmage. And I really don't even think it's the line. I think Andy Fiechner needs to go back and figure out what were we doing so well in 2018 that we aren't doing now. And I really think the main thing is they are not pulling like they're not pulling Pouncey. They're not pulling their tight ends. They're not pulling their guards. They're not pulling their tackles. They aren't bringing in Derek Watt. Why bring in Derek Watt and not hardly use him? I know fullbacks are slowly getting out of the league, but why waste your money on a guy and hardly ever use him? I mean, come on. They need to figure out what they did so well in 2018 and start running the ball. Because if they can't figure it out, they need to figure out, find who they are again against this Cincinnati team. They need to not rush anybody back who's on injuries, okay? Like Joe Hayden, if he's still on the fence, all these guys, all those linemen that kind of got hurt and banged up in this Bills game. If I'm Mike Tomlin, I'm saying, all right, we're confident we're going to go and win this game. I think everybody's confident in them, even though Steelers haven't been playing well. I think he tells all your guys, if you're injured, if you're on the fence, if you're whatever, use this week to heal. Use this week to heal because after Cincinnati, it is buck up or shut up because you play the Colts, who are going to be in the playoffs. You play the Browns, who are going to be in the playoffs, and then you're in the playoffs. So you're getting over a week. Okay, so I know they kind of had a messed up schedule, but it's the NFL. So this will be your first full regular week. You get a whole week of what it's like. And I think that's what they just need to do. They need to find the run game, find themselves, and figure it out. Because, I mean, you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. When you think of the Pittsburgh Steelers, you think of physical. That's the first thing you think of. You think of Mean Joe Green, physical, maybe Franco Harris, just physical guys. So they need to find themselves. Andy Fiechner needs to figure out what they were doing. And I think it's the lead blocking thing. And I just need to use this week if there's injuries, which they they have a lot of them on the defensive side. And Mike Tomlin says, we're using this week for you injured guys. If you're injured or on the fence, just stay injured, stay off, take this day, take this week, and just rest. And we're going to need you these next, for sure, 3 weeks. They're guaranteed 3 weeks after the Bengals game, even if they lose in the playoffs. So they're guaranteed 3 games. But after Cincinnati playoffs first round. I mean, that's all I got to say. But the Bills did show that they're legit. Josh Allen showed that they're legit. Stephon Diggs showed that he's legit. The defense played electric. But yeah, that's all I got to say. I think the Steelers just need to figure out the run game because Big Ben, he's last time he played a whole season, he was 36 years old, and then turning 37, and then he basically was out all season. I mean, he played a game and a drive. And he's not the quarterback he was. He doesn't move well around the pocket. He's not shrugging tackles all the time. He's 38 years old, and Andy Fiechner needs to realize that. You can't let your 38-year quarterback carry this team. I mean, and receivers need to catch the ball. I mean, come on. When one is employed to catch the ball, I hope you can catch the ball. So I hope they better figure it out soon, or they'll be out. And but I think the Cincinnati week is huge for them. But the Bills did show that they're legit. And that they can play against, good teams. That's all I got. I know it's kind of a little rant, but there you go.
Real quick, I just wanted to play the reaction that Dylan had after the game.
Oh my God!
I'm gonna play it real quick here. It was a pretty good rant, to say the least. All right, I'm gonna play it. Here we go. What would you say was the most frustrating part about that game?
Where do I start? Start up the game, probably an incompletion in the hand. Oh, God, they got that. Right when that happened, I knew we were busting ass. Right when that freaking right in the hand. And then just to put some icing on this cake. He does the same thing, but manages to do it worse. He literally had it in his hands. And he's like, oh, hey, let me just throw that.
So, obviously, a very emotional loss.
Yeah.
You know, I think every good team has one of those losses. You know, for me, back in 2016, obviously I'm a big Cowboys fan. The Cowboys we were 11-1, and we played on the road against the Giants, who were very good at the time, and we lost 11-2. We lost both games to the Giants. The next day in school, everyone was telling me, "Oh, you can't spell Dallas without two L's." I was heartbroken. You know, at that point, I'm like, our season's over. But the thing is, we were 11-2 at the time. We were gonna get a first round bye. I think it's important not to overreact too soon, even though they've had two straight losses. I think they just need to get back to what got them to be an undefeated team until a few weeks ago. So next, we're gonna move on to probably one of the best games of the year, the Ravens on the road at the Browns. There's so much to talk about this game. I wanted to take some time. There's just so much that happened that we need to go over it. The Ravens won 47-42. Dylan, you want to talk about it?
I mean, the running back Lamar Jackson. I mean, no, they played good. The Browns showed that they are not their old Browns. They're not, they showed that they're new. They're not what they used to be. And it sucks that they didn't go win, but in all reality, it helped the Steelers. So I mean, I can't be too mad. But they showed that they're legit, and they're not here to play.
Yeah, I think like the Browns defense, they could not stop Lamar Jackson, who had his best game of the year, totaled 3 touchdowns, 120 some rushing yards, and led them to the game-winning drive near the end. Real quick, there was so much that happened that I feel like it would just be wrong for me not to go over this. So Lamar Jackson left the game early, which was right before the fourth quarter. Apparently, it was cramping, but the internet had a different version. Thousands of tweets saying that Lamar Jackson was pulling a Paul Pierce. He had to use the restroom in the middle of the game. And from the video, he was running to the locker room. It really did look like he had to find a toilet soon, or, he could be in some trouble. They were playing the Browns, which is hilarious. But Lamar should not eat Taco Bell before the game, which I think he's been doing for a few weeks now, and it finally caught up to him. So Trace McGoat, came into the game, sacrificed his ACL, which is reportedly they fear it's torn, which is very unfortunate because
I just feel bad for the kid.
So let me go over the play that really changed the game. It was a 4th and 5, 4th and 4-ish. Trace McSorley had just gotten hurt. 2-minute warning. The Ravens were down 1 point. They could have kicked their field goal. It would have been about a 62 or 63 for Tucker, which is very well in his range. But they decided to go for it. So John Harbaugh, he went to the locker room and he said, "Lamar, start wiping. We need you." So here comes Lamar, 4th and 4. He takes a snap. He rolls out to his right. Looks like he's going to run for it. And then he throws the ball over the heads of several Browns, hits his guy, Marquise Brown, for the touchdown that did not seal the game because the Browns would go down the field and score. And then Lamar took him down the field.
I think you muted yourself there.
I apologize. Can you hear me now?
Yep, I'm good.
All right. Yeah, my mic just died, but we're back. So like I was saying, Lamar, yeah, that was the best game of the year. Every time they needed him to make a big play, he did. And 47-42 win. Lamar confirmed after the game that he was cramping. He really was cramping, and that he wasn't using the restroom. Which, I don't know if I believe that, but all right, moving on. Those were all the games for the week. An eventful week 14. It was a great week for football, to say the least.
Oh yeah, it was good games. Good games.
A lot of them, yes. So my win of the week, like I previously said, was the Eagles. And Dylan, what was your win of the week? What was the most important win?
There's a lot. A lot of teams showed that they're legit. I mean, I'm kind of gonna go lot. I mean, not really lost of the week, but I think, and I know they lost, but I think the Browns showed that they are legit, and they're not gonna take any more crap. Even though they lost the game, they played a great
Lamar's
game.
crap.
But win of the week, I'd probably say the Bills.
All right, fair
I'd
enough.
probably say the Bills. Yeah, literally.
All right. So now we're going to talk about the playoff picture a little bit because this week definitely had a lot of playoff implications. First, we'll start in the AFC. We have the Chiefs leading the pack, followed by the Steelers. And so we talked a little bit last night about what we think the wild card will be, and we're really thinking that the Browns and the Ravens can both get into the wild card. But you got to remember teams like the Colts. The Colts and the Titans.
No, and the
they
Dolphins.
The Dolphins as well. There's going to be 3 playoff or wild card spots. So
it's going to be down to the wire.
A good team's going to get left out.
Yeah.
But for the Ravens, I think if they lose that game last night, we don't know what would have happened, but I'm saying they would not make the playoffs if they would have lost.
It would have been it makes it harder. It makes it harder.
Oh, they would have had to win out and hope for some other teams to start losing. So,
they would need to hope for the Dolphins to lose too.
Yeah, exactly. So I think this was
the Dolphins have the tiebreaker.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think, and I think you agree with me on this. The AFC this year is more competitive than it's probably been in a long time. It's loaded.
Oh, well, yeah, 100%. Because usually it's the Ravens and the Steelers. Yeah, and quite honestly, it might be loaded. Maybe not. I mean, who knows what the Bengals going to do next year? But I think Joe Burrow, after being in the league for 1 year, I think he'll learn, develop. They have Joe Mixon. I know he's off and on, but this is a division. Depending on how long Ben Roethlisberger plays, but this is his last year. We plays however many years. I mean, it's a division that is going to start to pick up. And if you don't agree with me, you just got to look at it. I mean, come on. 3 franchises. I mean, Steelers need to figure out also. Yeah, the Steelers need to figure out are they going to commit on Mason Rudolph? I mean, what are they going to do? He's got a dented head. I mean, come on.
Trade for Trace McSorley, maybe?
Oh, come on. The GOAT.
I think the Steelers, I think they'll make their quarterback move for their future guy. I believe after this year. I think that, they'll probably have a pick.
Do you think they're going to go out and get a guy?
Round. I don't know if there will be a guy that they're interested in the first round. I think a free agent is more likely.
That's what I was. I do think that I agree with that. Because I just feel like they're only going to not waste a pick, but they're not the type of team that's going to go draft a guy and then they're going to draft a guy that had similar attributes to Ben Roethlisberger and if they're going to draft a quarterback, they're going to see him as the franchise guy. I don't see them just drafting a quarterback and saying, all right, well, you're going to go ride the bench behind Mason Rudolph. I don't see that. So I do think if Ben decides to retire, which I think after seeing how I'm not saying he's playing bad, but after seeing how this year goes, and somehow they can pull off a Super Bowl, 100% I think this is his last year. But I do agree with you that the offseason would be a likely place. Even though I don't think Mason Rudolph played all that bad because it was all this, you have to realize it was his first year starting. I mean, nobody does that great, their first year and starting. But
so I want to talk a little bit about, like I just mentioned, the free agent quarterbacks or quarterbacks who will be traded. I think the most notable one, and a lot of people were talking about it early on, especially after his injury, Dak Prescott, will be a free agent, although the Cowboys can franchise tag him, and they do have some time to extend his contract before he becomes an unrestricted free agent, which as a Cowboys fan following it very closely, it doesn't sound like Dak's going anywhere. It sounds like both sides want him in Dallas. And let's be real. Everyone's making fun of Dak, saying, "Oh, he's declining all these big contracts." I don't know if
Yeah,
he thinks
I
he is.
agree.
It's his agent. 100% it's Dak's agent. He's playing too hard right now. He's and the Cowboys, they're always like this. They always have contract disputes. They try to win everything. They try to lowball these players. They did it with Ezekiel Elliott, who almost missed Week 1 2 years ago. They've done it with Des Bryant, who nearly missed training camp. They do it all the time with their big players, and it's sad they can't get a deal done. If you're Dak Prescott, you got 3 really good wide receivers. You got an elite running back. I know he's having a bad year. He's still elite though. Why would you want to go anywhere else?
Yeah,
it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I agree with you. He's staying in Dallas.
But if he doesn't, do you think Pittsburgh could
Franchise
be a potential?
tag him. He's proved.
You think the Steelers would offer him?
I mean, it depends. Like I said, maybe not for big. Steelers have never been known to sign. I mean, they've never throughout the years they've never been known to sign giant contracts. I mean, Big Ben maybe. I mean, Big Ben doesn't really make. I mean, he's not the highest paid quarterback, but I mean, the Pittsburgh. I mean, I don't see Steelers have never been known for doing that. I mean, that's why Le'Veon left. That's why why Antonio left for his reasons. But that's why Emmanuel Sanders left. That's why Mike Wallace left. Because when guys get good, they want money, and Steelers give them an offer. And if they don't want that offer, then they're not gonna. They'll say, "Well, thank you. We're gonna move on." That's just how the Rooney family works. But I think it just all depends, on what Big Ben does in the offseason. Who knows? I know he has after this year, he'll have one more year. He might give it one more year. He might not. Who knows? I know they're asking a lot out of him. I think he's not loving it right now just because, I mean, how can you when you're throwing it? You're asked to throw it 50 times a game. I know some of their short package routes he said it before, they're short yard passes are sometimes in their run game. So, I mean, he said it himself. But, I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? I don't see Dak getting out of Dallas, because he proved himself those first 5 games, whatever he played. He was killing the league in passing. I know the record wasn't there, but I mean, he showed he can play in the league. He showed that he's their guy. I mean, but now my question to you is, Ezekiel, do you move away from him and go with Tony Pollard? I mean, he is electric. I mean, my God. So, I mean, what do you do there?
So Ezekiel Elliott is making a lot of money, and I think when they signed the contract 2 years ago, you look at your offense, it was the right deal. Ezekiel Elliott's, he's proven himself. I don't think for him it's not necessarily a physical thing right now. When you have receivers like the Cowboys have, why do you need to pay a running back that much? Is my point. Because you saw early in the year, Ezekiel Elliott was playing very well. He was off to one of his best starts he's ever had before Dak Prescott got hurt, and then his numbers went straight down. So it's no surprise. And he's had, offensive linemen, 2 Pro Bowlers have been out pretty much the whole year, and then their other Pro Bowler on the offensive line has missed a lot of games as well. So how, when your passing game is struggling with Andy Dalton, how can you expect Ezekiel Elliott with a bad passing game and a bad line to be, putting up big numbers? You can't really expect that out of him. So for me, it's not really a talent thing. I think just for the money, I think Pollard's a better value in a passing offense once Dak Prescott comes back. I think the money would be better spent on, a tight end or a position such as that.
So do you think they're going to trade him? Do you think or is he on his final year of his contract?
They can get out of his contract after next year. There's a clause in there that they can get out of, and they don't have to, they don't have to cut him. They can just not re-sign him. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think he has one more year in Dallas, and then who knows? Once running backs get a little mileage on them, they're not quite the same. We've seen it countless times.
Yeah, Le'Veon Bell, a prime example.
Le'Veon Bell and DeMarco Murray are the best 2 examples I think you have. Once they leave their team, that they were
especially when he went to Philadelphia. That first year was horrible. I mean, horrible. But then he picked it back up when he went to Tennessee, and then I went. I can't think of his name off the tip of my tongue. whoever their head coach was when he was there. God, he's the head coach for UCLA. Why can't I think of his name? What was his? Come on, help me out here. What was his name?
Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly. Yeah. Okay.
Chip Kelly. That's his name. Yeah.
Chip
Once
Kelly
he
did
left,
not use him.
yeah. No, he was right. Yeah. We don't even have to get on that because we all know.
That's a whole different story. All right. Real quick before we wrap this thing up, I want to talk about a few injuries in other headlines. First off, I want to talk about the Matthew Stafford injury. He suffered an injury in the fourth quarter.
Rib injury, right?
It was a rib injury, correct. The X-ray said that he did not have any breaks, but they fear that there's cartilage damage. And the report today is that the Lions are, quote, not overly optimistic about playing him. So, do you just shut him down for the year? He's an older quarterback, and you're not going anywhere this year.
And they just officially got taken out of the playoff race.
You have Chase Daniels, who can.
I think you do.
Yeah, I would sit him.
Yeah, Chase. Yeah, he's a veteran guy. He's been in the league. But he's one of the better backups. You only got 3 games left. No sense of hurting him, for next year. I think, just try to get out of these next few games and you're going to win. And then focus on your offseason. Who's going to be your new head coach? Figure out what you're going to do in the offseason and then just move forward. Get away from this year. And it's just time for the Lions to, move forward.
Agreed. So then the next injury, which was also a very similar injury to Stafford, is Drew Brees. He broke a lot of ribs, and I think he punctured his lung.
He went through a goddamn train wreck.
So Brees said he wasn't going to play until he felt 100%, which is reasonable for an older quarterback who might be in his final year. So the question is...
Yeah, I think this is his.
Can Drew Brees... Do you think Drew Brees will play this week? Week 15. They play the Chiefs.
Who do they play? I'm sorry.
They play the Chiefs at home.
So big game.
Big game.
And it's also a big game because they just lost the number 1 seed.
Exactly.
I think he does. I think he's a competitor. I think it's just the competitor spirit in him, and he knows his team needs him. And I'm not saying Taysom Hill's not a good guy, a good quarterback. I mean, I don't think he's nowhere near Drew Brees. Let's be honest, he's a white Michael Vick. I mean, come on. I think Drew Brees is going to play. He might not practice a whole lot this week, but these veteran guys have showed time and time again they don't really need to practice anymore. I think he'll play. It's huge week. It's a huge. I mean, really, if Packers lose and they win, they're the 1 seed, and if Steelers win and the Chiefs lose, I mean, we could have 2 number 1 seeds just flop right now, depending on what happens. So this is a very, very huge week for the number 1 seed for sure. I mean, honestly, if the Chiefs lose, Steelers win, and then the Packers lose to I'm not really sure who they play either, but I mean, it could be a huge flip flop for the number 1 seed.
Agreed. So the next piece of news is that the Broncos running back Melvin Gordon, he about a month ago was arrested on DUI charges. His court case was scheduled to go yesterday, December 14th, and he is likely going to be convicted guilty, in which the NFL would then give him probably a 3-game suspension. But his case has been moved until January. I don't think it really impacts much. The Broncos aren't going anywhere this year.
Yeah.
So Melvin Gordon, he will play the rest of the year.
And, I mean, and also those, we were talking about the running backs, when they get greedy and then they go somewhere else. I mean, he hasn't had that great of a year either. I mean, I know he's with the Broncos, but I mean, running backs just need to not. I know you're in it for the money. I mean, also the sport itself, but I mean, it's shown time and time again. When running backs get greedy, they go somewhere else. Which, I mean, come on. I mean, Le'Veon going to the Jets, what do you think was going to happen there? And him going to the Broncos, what do you think was going to happen there? Oh, and then another guy, our old buddy Todd Gurley. I mean, come on.
Running backs should never leave their team.
No, but nowadays that's what they're. You'll rarely from here on out. I promise you, we will rarely see a franchise running back. Rarely. The only guy right now that I can see it, and I'm not being biased, just because he's from this area, he grew up in this area, went to school here, but is James Conner. Even though he's iffy for me, I don't think he's not as good as Le'Veon. But he's the only guy right now in the league that I could see. Okay, he'll be here. He could, if they keep resigning him, he would stay there his whole career, just because he grew up there. He played his state championships in there. He played college ball there. And so
Steelers gave him a chance. So
yeah, you just rarely see it out of running backs nowadays, just because people they're important.
Christian McCaffrey just signed his big deal. And
Yeah.
He could have easily gone somewhere else. I don't know if Carolina's necessarily close to being a contender. He could have gone to the Chiefs, taken a massive pay cut, gone and played and been the best team. But he did not do that. He took the money and said,
So he had some injuries today too. So or this year, but you feel bad for the guy. But
yes, but when he's been on the field, in my opinion, he's been one of the best running backs in the league.
Oh yeah, he still is. There's no question. Even though he came back from his what was his first injury?
It was a
he came back and he still played a lot. He was still playing like he was the best back out there. And then he gets hurt again, which you feel bad for the guy.
Yep.
But I don't think it's gonna be one of these injuries that's gonna be like, oh, if he didn't get this injury, he'd still be next year he's still gonna be just as electric.
Yep. And another running back who got hurt, Saquon Barkley, got hurt in their second game. He'll be back next year, and it'll be interesting to see what the Giants do with his contract. I don't see him leaving anytime soon. You don't let guys like that go.
Oh yeah, no, he'll be in the league a long time, and that's another guy. They're starting to turn it around. They are. Daniel Jones is starting to figure it out, which I figured he would. I think they need to focus more on their own line in the offseason. But they're right there. You gotta give Saquon a line to block for.
Mm-hmm.
And if they can figure that out, I think they'll be all right.
Agreed. All right, I think we covered every big headline that happened this week. We went into depth on a lot of different teams and their current situations. In 2 days, on Thursday, we will come out with a Week 15 preview, in which we will go over each matchup, basically just review and we'll give our predictions on how we think the games will go. And anything else to add there, Dylan?
I ain't got nothing left. Go Steelers.
All righty. Well, we will see you guys on Thursday. Hope you all have a good day. Thank you for listening. Go Cowboys. This has been the H&W Show.